This video is going to be about how I'm going to build a cabinet underneath my router table in this open cavity, just to keep all my accessories and my bits in. The plans for this are on the Kreg website. You can download a PDF. Shows you a nice diagram with all the materials and sizes, and they also supply on the second page of it with a cut list diagram. Okay, I've got all my pieces already cut down to size. I just bought a sheet of plywood, broke it down, sized everything on the table saw to the size of the plans. So you got a bottom, you've got a divider between the two boxes, the back, you've got the top and the bottom, and back here just behind me is the sides. There's 4 of those. So I went ahead and I built the boxes. I cut some dados here and on the bottom so that I could slide in shelves without having the ball bearing shelves at the top and bottom. I just saw their design and I thought you would, if you wanted to change the bit shelves or anything, you'd probably have to take the whole thing apart to do it. So I just want to be able to slide these shelves in and out when I want. If I want to change it, I just, I'll have router bits drilled in here. If I don't like it, I can just take the board off, put the drawer face on the new board, make my new layout, and I'm right back in. Not a lot of time lost there. Well, as you can see here, I've got the shelf laid inside of there. The measurements on the plans are just right too, by the way. So far, everything's worked out pretty well. All I'm going to do here is just like it shows. It just fits. You slide this up even with your frame, and same with the other side. And then you've got your divider shelf going in here. And the way I measured it just went off the plans. And then I've got these sitting against the frame, and then I just went off the bottom to get an accurate measurement for right now. So that's in there. And what I'm going to do is set the shelf with pocket holes on the bottom, and then I'm going to keep a little bit of space under the router motor right here, about the thickness of a pencil. I've got the router motor lowered all the way down as well, so I just took my tape measure. It was a little trick I saw on the Kreg video of just holding your tape measure and going up to it. So I did the same thing, and I just made a mark out here. Took away the 3/4 of an inch for the thickness of the shelf and made my mark. And so now I can pull these boxes out and attach the divider to the 2 boxes, which will start to make it into a cabinet. Okay, I went ahead and assembled my divider shelf into the 2 boxes. I went ahead and attached the back as well. It's all with pocket hole screws. I am putting in a Kreg table after all. I have pocket hole screws. Nice clean back, which really won't matter. It's got pocket hole screws everywhere, but it helps with making this airtight because there's going to be a vacuum port right here. So I'm going to have to drill a 4-inch hole. I think I'm going to put a 4-inch vacuum port on this side. Well, I've got my cabinet assembled and I've partially slid it in here so far, so I'm getting ready to finish it up. It's a snug fit. You kind of got to wiggle it in, but it does fit. So I just kind of use my knees and my body and just kind of tap it. As you can see, it seems to be fitting in. I just want to show that it does fit. And there it is. And then I got a little tap bar there. Make sure it goes in all the way. And it seats up front, so the cabinet is basically in. Now we've got everything in. A little bit of sawdust there. But I think what I'm going to do is, just to keep this all aligned, is I'm just going to put a couple screws just in the front here, so that it'll just hold to the bottom. Because I didn't see anywhere in the plans where it showed this being joined together. But in case I ever want to take this cabinet out, I'll only have to remove the 2 drawers and take out 2 front screws, and I'll be able to just slide it right back out. Got the cabinet with the router in there right now. I can easily, at the lowest setting, change the speed dial. I'm going to have an outside switch for turning it on and off. So next I've just got to build the drawers, and I think I'm going to put a drawer here and then have that door close over it. I went ahead and I've got some, you know, bit holders, whatever you want to call them in here. I'm going to attach the faces to them. Got these sliding real nice in here. As you can tell, got them all in, so we'll be able to either make drawers or bit holders out of them. I think the top two I'll do bits maybe, or I might do a drawer here. I really haven't decided yet. I went ahead and made the faces for all these. So I just used a panel bit on the router and just made, you know, something a little nice and decorative. I'm gonna put some handles in on these. I went ahead and made a drawer as well to fit in this bottom. Nothing fancy, just some 1/2-inch plywood nailed and glued together. So that gives me plenty of storage in here for a lot of the bigger items. I still have to make a door here. I still have to get a couple hinges as well. Well, I went ahead and put on the handles on all these to make it a little bit easier to open and close as I'm using them. So next part that we need to do is enclose this front with a door. I picked up some different hinges at Lowe's that are supposed to be a multi-hinge, so it might be something you haven't seen before. Okay, I've got a new hinge. This is a little different than some of you may have seen, you know. It works kind of like the European hinges. Has a little piston that shuts the door for you once you start to close it. This is can be a full overlay hinge, a half overlay, or you can actually set it as an inset. And they've got just a very basic set of directions that gives you the dimensions. What I'm going to do is, I've got these two boards here. I'm going to end up making one door out of it. I just need to join with my hand plane a couple strokes here to make sure that it makes a nice seam. So I'm just going to put it in here. Got the boards clamped together, and I'm just going to give it a couple swipes like this. As you can see, you get two shavings right off of it. The trouble with it is you just don't want to stop. There we go. So then once you do that, you should be able just to flip them like this, and makes a perfect seam right there. So that's a little trick for you. I've seen in other videos, thought I'd add it to mine as well. So I went ahead and joined up my panel. As you can see, since I'm putting it in a Kreg table, I wanted to use Kreg screws, and I just did a little bit of glue here. And as you can tell, hopefully the camera picks that up. It's a perfect seam. So right here, I just want to show how I'm doing the panel faces on all my drawer fronts and everything. Just using a large panel bit. It's got a back cutter as well, but I've removed it. So I've just got that in the Kreg table, and it just comes along here. And you can just move the fence in or out to get the look you're after. So So that's how you make a raised door panel. So what we're going to do here is, I've followed the directions with the measurements. You just look at what they tell you to do, and then you're just going to lay these out. It's got some elongated holes. That's what you start out in. That gives you that up and down adjustment and back and forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and got my right angle drill here. These are nice to have when you are in a small spot. And I just kind of zip it in there. There we go. So that's kind of got that one set, and then we can just move it in or out as we need to. Well, now we've got our hardware installed, got our hinges, seem to be working fine. Just a note on these hinges, I did notice that if you can see, you can wiggle the door up and down and it's not the holes, it's the actual hinge mechanisms, just the way they work. They do have a slight bit of play in them, but for shop furniture, I think it's good. 4-inch dust port hole drilled into the router cavity. I just used a 4-inch hole saw to accomplish that. Alright, I've got my 4-inch dust port hole here drilled through the back. I'm going to have this flange cover it. This is a quick disconnect, and I'm going to have the router cord, a little bit of slack in there so that the cord can go up and down, and it sits in a slot, and then that sets kind of at an angle, and then when I spin this cover down, that'll keep the cord from wanting to come in and out. So then I'm just going to secure it. I've drilled some holes in it and just going to use some short screws to hold it in, and then we'll have our dust port installed. Alright, so we got our dust port secured. Our cord is nice and snug, won't fall in and out. We've got plenty of slack for the router cord so that the router can move up and down. So I'll call this back finished. Alright, this is the next piece I did. So we've got some of our cabinet finished, and I got tired of opening the door a couple times to flip the router on and off. When I got this Kreg table, I bought the full accessory kit along with it for a good price. And it came with this switch, but when I put the cabinet in, the switch has to be mounted on the right side metal frame by their design. So I really couldn't find a way that I wanted to do it down underneath the cabinet. And really, there's nothing that happens back here behind the fence normally. Now, if ever I had a big panel or something I wanted to put through here freehand that would get in the way of this switch that I've got sitting above, I could just remove it real quick. I just got 2 screws in it in the back, and be able to do what I need to do. But normally you'll be able to just go like this. So, and it's pretty solid, and I'll show you real quick. I'll spin it around so you can kind of see. All I did was take a piece of aluminum angle iron I had scrap, and I just screwed it into a block, and the block is screwed into the metal frame. Makes a really solid switch location. I've seen it on a lot of industrial machines where, you know, like planers and joiners and things like that in a big industrial shop where the switch is just above. And it puts it in a nice, easy to see spot where I could turn it on and off easily. So I just wanted to comment on that. Well, I want to put pegboard into this square here, and the way I want to do it is I just want to put a couple pieces of wood here and pocket hole them in, and then just secure the pegboard to the wood. You could bolt it to the frame as well, but this is the way I want to do it. The plans originally call for a smaller square framed out, but I find you lose a little bit of space on each side by doing that, so I want to utilize the whole square. So how I want to find my measurement is quite simply, I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to take the thickness of my pegboard, I'm going to lay it inside of here, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to fit my board up against the pegboard and let it provide the spacing, and then I'll kind of turn this so you can see, and then I'm just going to make a mark right here, and then this will be the thickness that I need, and then that when I secure this to the back and when I put my pegboard on, that'll put it even with the frame, and it'll be a nice clean fit. So that's a little trick that I do without having to even get out a tape measure. Well, as you can see, I went ahead and I've got my board sitting in here. I got to attach the last one. So what I'm going to do is just start my screw on the bottom one here. Give it a little wiggle out. Get it even. I don't know. And just zip it home. And now I've got, a place here all the way around that I can secure my pegboard too. And if I want to take it off real easy, I just unscrew it real quick. Instead of, if you're bolting it, you're gonna have to try and get in there and get the nuts and bolts loose. So let's fit that pegboard. All right, so ends up being 16 inches wide by 16 inches tall for this opening. So all I have to do is make a 16 by 16 pegboard, and it is just the right fit too. Let's get it in there now. So I just kind of fit it up and knock it in. It's a nice snug fit. Put a few screws into that plywood edging, and now we've got a pegboard with plenty of room across here. And then all I'm going to do is, these Kreg screws have a nice big washer head, so I'm just going to use them to secure my pegboard. Nothing real fancy here. Just zipping in some screws, and I'm just putting them in at the corners, and that should be everything we need. And that pegboard's nice and solid. I'll start hanging my tools from it. Give me some extra storage. Well, we're going to drill a series of grid holes along here. I'm going to drill all 1/2 inch for this tray, and then my other one I'll do 1/4 inch. I'm going to be using my Shop Smith. It's a 510 model. It's a 5-in-1 tool. I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Shop Smith. All I have is good to say. It's a precision machine. You take care of it, it'll take care of you. Had it for probably 23 years now. Haven't had to replace anything. It's just held up. I've went through a few saw blades over the years. They've worn out, but the machine's still going strong. So let's drill those holes. From the previous drilling, I was able to drill 2 sides of the grid holes without having to readjust anything, just by spinning the stock. And that's due to the fence, which there aren't many drill presses out there that have a fence like this with an accurate measurement. So as far as a woodworking drill press, I think Shop Smith's got one of the best. Well, I finished up drilling all the holes. As you can see, I've got a nice pattern. You don't have to put every bit in every hole, but this just lets me have a variety of spaces, because I've got a few big panel bits, so I could set that there, and then these outer holes wouldn't be used because this might be in the way. But as you can see, I only went about halfway into the plywood, and since I'm using plywood, I don't have to worry about too much expansion or shrinkage, so it should hold the bit without locking it in like some other natural woods. Well, I finished the Kreg router table cabinet, so I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. We've got all our accessories now loaded up. The one thing I really want to mention is how easy it is to get to the bits, where with the Kreg design you got to be down in there looking. I can pick mine up, take it somewhere else if I need to. That's a big plus. Slip it right back in, and it takes only a moment. So I've got 1/4 inch up top, 1/2 inch at the bottom. I've still got 2 more drawers I haven't even figured out what to do with yet. I've got my drawer full of accessories, and then I got the pegboard on the side loaded up. We've got feather boards over here with reducing rings, and then on this side here we've got our wrenches, our router lift tool, Phillips screwdriver, all within easy reach. The easiest thing to get to of all is the power switch. This is something that just kind of came to me to put it up top here. So if you like that, I tell you, it's easy to do, and doesn't take but a few moments of time, and it seems to really work out well. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if you would, please subscribe.